Before there was the United States of America, there was Savannah. Savannah began with a vision. It was drawn by hand and laid out square by square beneath live oaks. You feel it the moment you arrive. In the coastal breeze, the canopy of green overhead, and the smooth cobblestones beneath your feet, Savannah keeps its own rhythm. The city was established long before the country it would help shape, and its story was well underway before the nation began writing its own. In 1733, James Oglethorpe came ashore at Yamacraw Bluff with a boatload of settlers and a plan for what they might build together. He pictured a colony that didn't run on inherited money or rank, where people who'd been handed very little in life could start again on fair ground. So he designed the city before a single street existed, laying a pattern of open squares across the land so there would always be a place to gather. Stand in Johnson Square today, and you can walk the very shape he drew. In Savannah, history isn't preserved behind glass. It's woven into the city itself. Savannah didn't stay a small colony for long. Ships carried its goods out across the ocean, and trade made it one of the busiest ports anywhere on the Atlantic. Down on River Street, they were tied up shoulder to shoulder, taking on cargo bound for England and the cities of Europe. Just above the waterline, in the brick and iron tangle of Factor's Walk, cotton was graded and traded. Higher still, on Bay Street, the men who set the prices were doing business with Liverpool and Copenhagen. Cotton built much of that wealth, with rice and indigo close behind. Climb from the river to the ramps to the street above, and you'll begin to understand how much of the world once passed through this bluff.
This was one of the busiest ports in the South. Cotton came down from the interior by the wagon load, went on to ships right here at the bluff. For a long while, Savannah was where America met the rest of the world. Just huge business opportunities for everybody in town.
But the same city held a harder truth alongside the wealth. That prosperity was carried, in large part, on the labor of enslaved men and women. It was wealth not everyone was free to share in, and it left a question that would echo for generations. What is the cost of freedom? In December of 1864, that question arrived in person. General William Tecumseh Sherman marched into Savannah at the end of his campaign across Georgia, weakening the Confederacy and bringing the war closer to its end. Other cities in his path had been put to the torch. Savannah was spared because its leaders chose to negotiate rather than fight, and the city was handed over intact. A few weeks later, in January of 1865, a much quieter meeting unfolded inside the house on Madison Square, the Green-Meldrim House, and it would shake the country more than the surrender ever did. By way of President Lincoln's handwritten questions, the Union representatives asked the ministers, "State in what manner you think you can take care of yourselves, and how can you best assist the government in maintaining your freedom?"
Many people walk into our second-floor bedroom with no idea what happened there. In January 1865, General Sherman invited 20 local Black leaders, most of whom were ministers, to meet with him there. And it was there they discussed what freedom was and could be. They were asked specifically, "What do you want for your people?" Think about how rare that was. The men, many of whom lived under slavery, were asked to describe their own future as free men. What they said there and discussed in that room still has resonance today.
Dr. Garrison Frazier didn't hesitate. Having brought back his freedom, he gave an answer that would be remembered long after the room emptied. The best way we can take care of ourselves is to have land, and turn it and till it. That is by our own labor, by the labor of the women and children and old men, so that soon we can take care of ourselves and have something to spare. What he was describing was freedom you could stand on. Measured out in acres, a family could work and finally call their own. 4 days later, on January 16, 1865, the answer turned into orders. President Lincoln signed Special Field Order No. 15, and the Union took a long ribbon of coastal land for newly freed families, extending from Savannah through the Low Country to Dufusky Island and the Pinpoint community. 40 acres apiece per family, and for one brief season, the chance to own the ground the family stood on. It was as close as the country had ever come to making good on its founding promise. Before the year was out, President Andrew Johnson undid the order. But what happened here didn't simply vanish. It took root in these coastal communities and in the long, unfinished argument over what freedom in America truly means.
What's important is, despite Field Order 15 being overturned within months, the Gullah Geechee people and their descendants, they held their ground. What's beautiful is they live along our coast, speak their Gullah language, and really do share their vibrant culture that serves as a crown jewel of Savannah. What I love is you can walk the whole arc of the American story within a few blocks.
Here's what stays with you. That same room is still open today. You can stand where Frazier stood and consider how one man's voice helped shape the future of countless others. From James Oglethorpe's planned city to that winter morning on Madison Square, Savannah has been much more than a spectator. It had a hand in shaping the story still being written today. In Savannah, history isn't sealed away. It's interlaced through green squares where people still gather and restored homes that continue to welcome visitors. It's a city that lives alongside its history. Savannah was never meant to live only in the pages of a history book or be admired from a distance. It welcomes you to walk the same ground and stand in the rooms where much of its story began. Founded in 1733, Savannah's story is still unfolding. More than 290 years later, the people and moments that formed this city continue to leave their mark. Come experience a place where history isn't finished. It's still being written.